Okay.
You know them, you love them. If you're looking for a great show with music and comedy, look no further than Maryland's own Kicks. You guys are a staple of the road, a staple of the Monsters of Rock cruises. You broke on the scene in '81, some of us. And Cool Kids, Kicks, Midnight Dynamite. The biggest album, of course, was '88's Blow My Fuse. Hot Wires, Show Business, at which point Donnie left the band.
No, I left.
That's right, you were painting signs in LA, right?
Yeah, that's not why I left, but
So Kicks got back together with Mark. Is it Schenker?
Schenker.
I've changed that personally because Michael Schenker
I didn't have a choice.
moved to 2014 and the band's released its first studio album, or CD as we called it, in 20 years. Rock Your Face Off. And you seem to have really captured the early sound. I mean, Show Business, I'm not a huge fan of. So now let me shut up, because you can't stop the show. And it's time to rock your face off. So now, you've come a long way since, what is it, Shilly Acres? Shiley Acres. So you're still promoting Rock Your Face after, what, like a year and a quarter, year and a half?
oh yeah.
Something like that.
How long will you tour on this?
Till the next one's done, you know?
Yeah, it's still going strong. I mean, it's sort of like you know, it came out and then this wave, it's sort of still catching up. You know, the gigs there's just more gigs than ever now. And
Right.
so we're just milking it.
So now, have you become one of those, like, Slaughter, you go out on the weekends, you come home?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
So are there plans yet for a follow-up disc?
Just in discussion.
Yeah. We've got a sort of a documentary coming out probably in the fall that we had filmmakers in the studio when we were making Rock Your Face Off. And so they've finally gotten all together, and we'll probably put a live CD. It'll be Rock Your Face Off live in there with the DVD. So it'll be sort of an interim release until we get around to doing the next one, which should follow up thereafter.
Right.
So documentary's really good.
I went to get the live CD today. I figure I'll go on Amazon. It was like $468.
The one from '93.
Yeah, no, yeah, the last one you did.
The Live in Baltimore one?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Well,
one.
it was that good.
And I'm
That's how
like,
good it was.
I hope you're getting a cut of that, you know?
It's not available anymore.
Yeah,
That's
it's
out
been
of print.
discontinued. So,
So
that's why.
now, I've seen a lot of the set list from this tour, and it changes a little bit. Tell us about the set list.
Well, we try to keep it, you know, we pay attention to what we played last time we played a venue. And if we're playing in the East Coast, you know, we try to, because a lot of the same fans do a lot of traveling and come to a lot of our shows. So we try to, you know, put different stuff in there that will be interesting for the fans. You know, we got a core group of 8 or so, maybe 9 songs that we know will get killed if we don't play them. So so we kind of build the set around those, and you know, Steve makes up the sets. He's really good at it, and he's really good at picking those songs and putting them in the right order. And you know, he throws it out there for feedback for us, and everybody goes, "Hey, what about this song?" And sometimes another song will come up that we forgot about, and we'll throw that in there. But we try to change it as much as possible, so that whenever a fan comes to multiple shows, they never see the exact same show.
But you gotta make sure the umbrella comes out, right?
We've dropped Cold Shower here and there sometimes.
Really?
Just occasionally.
Not very often, though.
Not
we
often.
usually play it, but
We usually play it, but you know, sometimes it's like, let's just skip that for a night, you know.
but travel dates we don't drag that umbrella around.
We used to. I used to put it in my bass case because it would fit.
So
And,
now, I
now
didn't
we don't
see
take
any
it.
tour buses out there. Would you guys motor over on?
Rent a cars.
Yeah, we don't live
Yeah.
too far from here, actually. It's
Really?
Yeah, it's not too many hours away, so we just drive back and drive up and drive home.
It's like a 3-hour drive.
3 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So now, Donnie, gone. Did he leave? Did he get the boot?
No, the band fell apart, and then when we reformed without him.
Right. So now, do any of you guys keep in touch with him or hear from him, or does he ever come out to a show?
No, I talked to him probably 6 months before we got back together. Just out of the blue, I just sort of dialed his number to see if it still worked. And his girlfriend answered and put him on the phone, and we talked, and everything was fine. And then when we decided to get back together, everybody was sort of like, Donnie could be a little difficult to work with. So
Right.
we decided to do it without him. Then after that, then all communications were cut off. He's not talking to anybody.
So a lot of people are asking me, what's up with Rhino Bucket? Philly wants to see Rhino Bucket.
Rhino Bucket.
Rhino Bucket just played a couple weeks ago with Kicks.
Yeah, well, yeah.
At M3?
No, at Badlands Pond in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Right?
Yeah, and then
South
Minneapolis
Dakota, right?
also. Yeah.
Yeah, South
So will there be more dates?
Yeah, eventually. Rhino Bucket, it's hard because, I'm busy with Kicks for one thing, but to get Rhino Bucket to the East Coast, it's expensive, and we can't, and Rhino Bucket doesn't make that much money for gigs, so it's hard to, I usually have to work it around, say like M3 or something.
Is George still with them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mark, at what point did the four guys come to you? And what were you, like 13?
No, I'm older than I look. Right, Joey? There wasn't ever a moment where they said, hey, do you want to do this? I think it was kind of like, because I was already playing with Steve and Jimmy, and so I already knew the songs, and so the only person I really didn't know that well was Brian, because I had known Ronnie forever, and Steve and Jimmy. Well, he lived on the East Coast, and we never knew each other back in the day, but I was friends with Ronnie back when they were making Midnight Dynamite. Ronnie and I were really good friends, so I've known those guys for a really long time, and it just, nobody ever said anything about, do you want to play bass? I think it was just, I don't know, maybe you guys talked about it amongst yourselves. I never heard anything. I just kind of learned the songs.
Yeah.
When we decided to do
More or
it.
less. It seems
Well,
about
it was one of those things where we discussed it as a band, and
You were
it
just
was
the guy
like,
standing there.
we decided not to use Donnie, and then Steve goes, well, Mark already knows the songs, why don't we just use him? So it was like, okay.
Yeah, that was
So it's
pretty
like one
much
of
it.
those
It was
things.
really that simple. It wasn't,
Yeah.
there wasn't any, formality or.
Yeah, we didn't
or
have to teach anybody the songs, he already knew them, so.
There was no dunking in the barrel or anything like that.
And you get older, you don't need aggravation.
Yeah,
This
right.
is true.
So, Mark, you were the main songwriter on this, and I assume you were in the studio?
Well,
I mean, there's
it
bits
ended
and
up
pieces.
a
How
lot
did
of
you
the stuff I
get
worked on made it
that
onto the record.
classic sound back that the band seemed to have slipped away from?
Well, there wasn't, I did all the engineering on there except for the drums, and really there was no sound to get back, because with Brian and Ronnie and Steve and Jimmy, all you have to do is put mics up. They're still them. They're still the same guys, and without getting rid of that, getting stuff Pro Tools to death, there was really nothing to it except them being themselves and just putting mics up and going, wow, that sounds like Brian Forsythe playing guitar. That sounds like Ronnie. It sounds just like Jimmy beating the hell out of his drums. And Steve, of course, it has his unique voice. So there really wasn't any trick to it or any sort of conscious effort to, capture this classic Kick sound, other than having Taylor Rhodes being a producer, since he was involved in Kick songwriting in the old days. He was sort
Right.
of the guy who picked all the songs, and he picked songs that he felt could be most developed into the Kick songs. Because a lot of the stuff, when it was out there, it didn't sound anything like Kicks, except for maybe Rock Your Face Off was the one that sounded most like Kicks, which was Brian's song, to me anyways. And
Party with your top down.
yeah, that was that didn't sound like Kicks when I wrote it. I mean,
I never heard it until you brought it back.
Yeah,
Taylor.
yeah.
Classic double entendre.
Yeah, well, you know, it was funny because I remember this very distinctly. I was up in, we were recording in my house, and Ronnie was down in the middle room, and we had kind of just decided that day that Top Down was a good song to do, and it was like, yeah, this would be really cool. And Ronnie was kind of learning the riff because he heard us playing it upstairs and heard it earlier. And I was in the kitchen, I heard Ronnie playing it, and I walked in there, and I said, hey, play it, you know, this is what it is. He was trying to figure it out just by hearing it upstairs. And I showed it to him one time, and he played it, and I was like, holy crap, that's it. That's the way it's supposed to sound, you know. With his fingers and his hand and his Les Paul, that turned it into a Kick song, just right there on the spot, without even being plugged in.
I'm a big fan of You're Gone, too.
Yeah, that's a
Very good song.
You know, it's funny, when I brought that to Steve and Jimmy, I never thought much of that song. I was like, you know, this is kind of a lame song, but I'll play it for those guys anyways. And they loved. I think they would have heard it before you maybe, and they loved it. They were like, oh, this is a great song. This is a great song. I'm like, really?
Well, the first time I heard it, it caught my ear.
Yeah, I didn't care for it after.
It was like my first two picks, like out of the bunch of songs, were
Yeah,
Ocean and You're Gone.
yeah, and I wasn't a believer in You're Gone. I didn't think it was great. But
Yeah,
I'm glad that everybody likes it. I'm really happy with it. But it just goes to show you, you never know, you know, what's going to strike a chord with
I
somebody.
think it's funny that a guy like Taylor can just jump into, you know, 38 Special, Brother Kane, and he's in that
Aerosmith.
mindset.
Yep.
Yeah. I got to meet him at your gold party or platinum party. A Dish of Salt in Manhattan.
Oh, right. I remember that night.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest night.
Yeah, Taylor was the secret sauce for sure. I mean, he definitely made the choices for the songs and you know, kept pecking away at them. You know, along with Brian. Brian had a lot to do with you know, Brian and Taylor together sort of hammered those songs into Kick songs more than I think anybody else.
Just a little side question. Brian, what kind of injections do you take to look so young at your age?
Let me think about that.
Does
Those
it involve
little-
goats and masturbation in Europe? I'm just wondering.
It's the little Starbucks espresso thingies. That's his.
It's the butter in my coffee.
So what would you guys like people to know about Rock Your Face Off? If you could just say, hey, you've never heard it? Let me tell you what. What would you want them to know?
Well, I think if they never heard it, with this documentary coming out about the making of, it's a real opportunity for people to, you know, look at what we did and look at how the whole thing came together, and, you know, look at other people's reaction. Nuno Betancourt's in the film from Extreme. Lizzie Hale, who's one of Steve's vocal students, is in the film.
Philly girl.
Yeah, and you know, so there's a lot of interesting things. So if anybody hasn't heard it, hasn't bought it yet, when this documentary comes out, they'll have an opportunity to absorb the whole thing as a you know, a complete story.
It's basically the making of this.
Mhm.
It's not like the Quiet Riot one. Have you seen that?
I have a physical copy of it at home. They sent it to me, but
It's
I've
like-
not watched it yet.
It ends with the credits, and it's like there was 105 members so far in the band, and Frankie going, "We got the guy now." And as the credits run, it says he was fired a week later.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, our documentary's not like that at all.
So, how is life different on the road now than in the 80s?
It's well, it's a lot more relaxed. In the '80s, we were nonstop. We just drive, and now it's like, you know, you fly in, do a couple dates, go home, and fly out again and do one or two more dates, and then go home. It's a lot easier. Well, a lot of flying for me,
Yeah.
For him especially,
Yeah.
yeah. But
but You know,
I remember when, right before Blow My Fuse came out, my roommates wanted to go interview you guys, and I'm like, I don't know anything about kicks. If you want it, knock it out of the ballpark, type it, I don't want to be involved. And it started with like, so what's the name of the album? They were really generic questions. So I sent 3 girls to interview you guys in the 80s. Great idea. And Steve starts with, yeah, the album's called Suck My Dick. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
That was a working title? I didn't know that. Did you know that?
So now, early on, Kicks never really got the tours or the recognition they deserved. Looking back, are you now happy with what the band accomplished? Or do you still feel like you could have been that next level?
well, yeah, it would have been cool, but you know, what did happen was really cool too, you know. So,
Right.
you know, you can go through life thinking, oh man, if only, you know, but really, it's the experience that counts, not the end result, you know, and
The journey, not the destination.
right, that's what I meant. But yeah, well, I mean, we always wished we could have gotten the AC/DC tour or this or that, or
Right.
but you know, it's just the way things went, you know, and
So, regrets? None?
no, not
Regrets?
yet, not yet.
All right, what 3 Kick songs best represent Kicks? And what 3 songs do you wish you didn't record, and if you never fucking heard again, you'd be thrilled?
Well, there's the comment.
Uh-oh, Ryan stumped. Do I need Jeopardy music
I
for
know
you?
the answers to these.
Well, one's really easy, the Burning Love, which that never happened.
That
See,
was
I'm
track
not-
1 too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the opening
Song to
So whoever,
second album.
yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, somebody that never heard the band puts this on, that comes on.
I know, it's like, oh boy.
Up next. So I'm starting with the song they shouldn't have recorded.
Right, right.
What's the other ones? That's a good question. I never really cared.
Scarlet Fever.
Well, that's not a bad song. It's just the guest guitar player bugged me. But what was the one? Get Your Monkeys Out.
Okay. Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was a little goofy.
That is goofy. And what about Cool Kids? Nobody in the band seems to care for that song.
Yeah, that's a little cheesy too, but I don't know.
There you have it. There's your top 3.
There you go.
But as far as the 3 that defines the band, is that what
Yeah.
the other one was?
Yeah.
That's another good one. I would say, well, yeah. I have to say.
That would definitely be the first one that was, a required song for you guys to play at every show.
And I would say, I don't know, like Cold Blooded, I always just think just captures the Kicks thing. That or Blow My Fuse, either one.
And Rosie, for me, as being a Kicks fan before I ever got in the
Really?
band, I thought that was like just the baddest ass, dirtiest, raunchiest Kick song that they had put out.
I saw
Yeah.
you guys play a little tiny club, New Hope, with Skid Row. And you didn't do Blow My Fuse, and I was like, why didn't you play Blow My Fuse?
Was that
I
like
just-
recently?
Not
It
too long
was
ago, like-
2002,
Okay. It's
2012.
that little stage in the corner kind
Yeah,
of.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Because I was asking
Jackie
you,
was there.
I
Yeah.
said, what do you see from up there? And they're like, nothing.
I think our
Nothing.
set got cut short. I think it was just a
Yeah,
matter of.
yeah.
It was
And
And
unfortunate.
Johnny's
Yeah.
band opened, Johnny D's band
Yeah.
opened.
Oh yeah, I remember Johnny that day.
Electric
Sure.
Boa.
That's right.
I remember hitting my knee that night when we dropped to the knees. I landed really hard.
Yeah, and there was like those. Oh, that was an awful setup. But yeah, that was.
caught-
I remember our set got cut
Whitford
short.
St. Holmes there, and they weren't gonna take photos with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, dude, I sat through Wife Swap with you and Vince Neil. He goes, you are getting a photo, Brad Whitford said. What's the appeal for the Monsters of Rock cruises?
The appeal for the bands or the bands?
For you guys, particularly.
The buffet.
That MS seafood was horrible. I wish I was on a Norwegian, but
No, but I think the appeal is just it's kind of relaxed and it's
It's a
easy-
very easy gig.
it's easy money for one thing. And
Pays
it's
good.
it's a
Captive audience.
yeah, captive
Everybody on the ship comes to see you play, you know, because they space the bands out enough where there's not so much overlap. So you're guaranteed a good crowd, and it's a lot of fun to go see the other bands that we normally wouldn't get
Yeah.
to see. You know.
Well, you
sometimes
guys
we-
in Kiefer, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean it's
Still
always
right.
good to. It's a good excuse to go see Tom every time.
the choir boys were good too.
I mean,
The
Tom
choir boys
does.
are good.
Tom does 2 hours, and he's just
Yeah.
spent afterwards,
Yeah.
and he still comes out and says hi to people.
Winery Dogs, they were great on the last couple cruises.
I thought it was ironic that he was playing Ricky Rocket drums.
Was he?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I didn't notice that.
he had a rocket drum on the acoustic set.
I didn't
Well,
know.
usually
My
those
friend-
are rented. That's
Yeah,
rented
it's all-
here.
My
It's all
friend
back
from
on the stuff.
Rochester's a drummer, and he goes, "Don't you think it's ironic that he's in front of the guy and you throw him off the bus?"
Yeah.
So now Steve is way entertaining. Still has the great comedy. Still the skinny front man he was. This guy should really be. When you're playing live and he goes into one of his routines, do you ever just like get caught up in what
yeah,
he's saying?
Sure, absolutely. You'll see us all laugh. I mean, we're not laughing because me and him are telling jokes. We're laughing at Steve. You know, and you can hear, you know, you can tell when Steve really hits a good one. You can hear Jimmy laugh through his vocal mic, and we can hear it in our in-ears. And, you know, you hear Jimmy back there cackling, and you know it's a good one. So yeah,
I mean, it's like 2 shows in one. You're getting a
It is.
concert and you're getting comedy.
and you're getting Richard Pryor and
Yeah.
and all of
Steve
Steve's
Martin.
favorite comedians. You know, Steve
I
Martin.
mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen him do that. Any beautiful girls here, you sing, but
Yeah.
the one with the guys with the big penises and then the guys with the little ones, and he goes, "I think we have children in the room."
Yeah, and he changes it up too, just like we try to do with the set list is, you know, he tries not to recycle his jokes. You know, he comes up with new material all the time, and it's astonishing sometimes. It's like, geez, where did he get that from?
So now I'm not going to mention names, but I've spoken to you guys before, and you felt like Paris, who went on to be Poison, stole a lot from the band, including the balloons that Steve would hump at the end of the show. Have you come to terms with that, or?
Yeah, I know that we were when it first happened. We were had a little bit of grudge going there for a few years, but yeah, they kind of took the thing, and then they went to the West Coast. Figured nobody would know who Kix was.
Yeah.
So. And it was mostly Brad, you know, because he had that look, the blonde hair, and the most,
There's some other good Brett stories that Steve told me, which will.
well, there's an obvious one. Was one time he came back to Harrisburg for the holidays, and we were playing the Metron, and he came to see us. And the very next Poison video, he had the same outfit on that Steve wore that night in the video. And it's like, oh wow, that's really obvious.
Well,
but you know,
Steve told me.
And Steve's clothes were
Okay.
missing that night. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Steve told me that while they were in Paris, he goes into the dressing room and Brett has taken things into his own hands. And Steve goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, you know, I'm going to go on stage.
Oh, there.
And I want to be all I can be, basically, you know?"
yeah. Well,
So,
I wouldn't.
does Steve ever get mad on stage? I've seen one time. 82 opening for the Kinks, Brad Divins was filling in for Ronnie.
Wasn't Brad there that time?
Yeah, and someone was just giving it to him in the front row, and Steve walked all the way to the edge, and he's like, "Come up here, get up here."
I don't remember that. remember that show, but
Steve's pretty good at handling hecklers these days.
Yeah.
He'll rip them to shreds.
It's been a long way since
Yeah.
'82. So now, for you guys, which do you like better, solo shows, festivals, or cruises?
that's a good question.
Kind of, I think they're all great.
Yeah, they all have their own little good things about them. Solo shows are cool because a lot of times it's the East Coast, so we have our own gear, so it's a little more comfortable. But
And we can play our full show.
festivals are cool because of the crowd, but a lot of times you're on rented gear and it's quick. You just gotta run up there and it's hectic. So that's the only problem with those. And then the cruise is just
It's cake.
yeah.
So, another Monsters of Rock tour you got, autographs on it in October. What then?
October.
I mean, you guys gonna go out in the winter, or is it?
Oh
a
yeah,
matter
we're
of-
booked up through the end of the year.
We're booked up to the end of the year for sure.
Oh,
And then-
awesome.
Yeah, there's the Tally Ho after that.
Yeah, and then there's the other Monsters of Rock cruises in February.
Yeah.
We're doing that one now?
Next year, another one.
It's not announced yet, but
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I don't think, to be honest with you, the way you guys are received, I don't think they ever try to get down.
you know, they announce bands as they see fit. Let's put it that way.
Chips Enough, I interviewed Chips Enough a few weeks ago, and I said, you're gonna do a Monsters of Rock, he got married at sea. He goes, well, the powers that be have patched things up from what I did last time, and we will be back on it. Brian, I love your photos. The whole travel log thing, the food, the Cracker Barrels. Pretty big fish eater, apparently.
Right.
So, how did that come about? And do you get a large response from that stuff on the internet?
Yeah, I do actually. I don't know. I just I appreciate like when a plate of food shows up and it's laid out really nice and just the way it looks. And I just started taking photos of it. I remember it started in Europe with Rhino Bucket because over there it's like I don't know, the food is just so beautiful and I remember I started out just taking an overhead shot of everything, and then I started getting a little more like creative with it, and now it's just like I like to try to capture what I see in the photo, you know, make it look really appetizing, and I mean there's been times when I get a plate of food and it's really good food, but it just doesn't, you know, I'll take a picture and then later I'm looking at it and it's like
Doesn't have the plate appeal,
Yeah,
as
just-
Ramsey would
if
say.
it looks good, it generally tastes good.
But sometimes it you know, it can taste great, it just looks like mush, you know, and it doesn't photograph well.
You know what I've never had is Ramsey's beef Wellington.
I've never either, but I don't eat beef.
I don't
Atlantic
eat beef
City.
either. I don't eat beef.
Live a little.
Yeah.
All right, any new acts you guys are into? Anybody just come along that
Well, they're not new.
They're
I
new
like these
enough.
guys.
they're
They're within the
newer?
last 10 years.
Yeah, I like that band.
How about
I mean, I'm sure.
the Struts?
Struts are
Have
good.
you heard them?
Oh, I must have heard that.
They're like a
There's some that I've heard that.
queen, a little bit of darkness.
Yeah, they're good.
There's some here and there. Like, what is that other band that I really like? I can't. That's the problem. I can't remember anything.
Are you an iPod guy when you travel?
I don't listen.
We don't listen to music when we drive. Usually him and I ride together. We never turn the radio on.
I listen to music in my car, but mostly Comedy Channel on XM.
Yeah, there you go.
Really?
But
Me
I listen
too.
to Outlaw Country. That's what I listen to.
We listened to Blow My Fuse, the new album, and the first Autograph album.
All the time.
On the way up.
No, on the way up.
Oh.
I really don't get to listen as much as I want, and then when I saw what was happening to my health, it kind of messes with your head a little, and I found that just drifting into some music like changed my whole Okay, in closing, anything you would like to say to our hard and fast fans who have covered you since '87 and your fans?
Oh, well, of course I would say thanks for being there and keep coming back.
Thanks for buying the new record and supporting us with all the new stuff that we're doing. And
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be here.
yeah, we owe everything to them, for sure.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now you just turn that little bad boy off. I'm breaking